so we are good. Hi everyone, my name is Nostalgix. Welcome to this session today. So if you don't know, I release bass house music or house music. I've had a couple of releases on Confession, and I had a EP a couple months ago on Night Bass, and I have another one coming out this week on Night Bass as well. So I decided for today's production class, I'm gonna go through a couple of the songs on my EP, which was called OG Sins. So I'm gonna be going over OG Sins for you guys and Heist. And thank you guys for having me, by the way. Happy to be here. Okay. So I'm gonna start off by showing you guys OG Sins. And I'll show you guys how I kind of made it and put it together. And then I'll show you guys Heist, and after that we could do like a little Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions at all, you could save it till the end, or feel free to ask at any point and I'll try to answer. Okay, so this is OG Sins. I'll just play it out for you guys that haven't heard it yet.
Let's go. OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die. OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die. Die, 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 Gonna ride till we die. OGs, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my OGs, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die. OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die. Die, 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 Gonna ride till we die. OGs, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Riding on the block with the OGs, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. OGs, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my OGs, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my
Alright, so that is OG Sins. This was on my EP that came out a couple months ago. So I'll go through kind of how I made the song and my process. How I usually will start a song, I will start with like an 8-bar loop. So that's what I did for this one. Sometimes I'll start with like an 8-bar breakdown, but I find that it's easier to just make the drop because it's the most high energy part of it, and then I can go back and I know what I want going into the drop. So that's what I did for this song. And as you see the layout on the screen, this is kind of how I like to set up my songs. If you look at most or all of the songs that I've made, they're all laid out like this. So I like to keep my kick and the sub at the top because usually that's the most important for me, is to be able to control the low end and make sure everything's good, and then everything else I'll kind of layer on top of that. Thank you guys, by the way. I'm glad you like the song. Okay, so yeah, I'll show you guys how I made this. So with the kick I didn't really do much to it. I usually just try to find like drum samples and kick samples that already sound good, so I don't have to process it too much, because I find that if you find a sound that's not very good and if you try to do too much on it, it always ends up not sounding as good. I think it is just way easier to find sounds that you really like and kind of store them somewhere. So this kick I've had like from an older project that I did. I just brought it back, and the only thing I really did to it was I put a low pass filter on it in certain parts. So like in the intro here, I have a low pass filter automated to turn on and off. So as you see, it's only on over the drops and over the intro. So the only section that it's not on is on the break, and the only reason I did that is
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate.
I didn't want the high end of the kick to interfere with the vocal. So if you listen to this with the filter on it, if you listen to this without the filter on it,
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die.
You can hear that there's a good space for the kick and the vocal, and it's not interfering in any way, and that's because of the filter on it.
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch.
And I did that because I wanted to keep the thud of the kick, so when I'm playing this live, it's not gonna slow down the energy of the song in any way. It is like a very fast energy, but it's a different kick flow in the song. So if I had the filter off here, you can hear that it just interferes with the vocal.
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die.
It just doesn't sound as good as
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the
or as clean. So that's something I'll do like in a lot of my songs or in the breakdowns. When I want to have some kind of kick there, I'll just filter it differently, or only have the low end, just so that when it comes back later in the drop, that you actually hear it like way louder, and I feel like it has more of an impact than having it play throughout the song. So I like to just have the low end of it and have the thud, but not have the whole kick, just so when it comes out later in the drop, it's more of an impact. Okay, and I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys what I did next here for my sub or the low end. So usually, like when I start a song, I'll lay down the kick and the sub first, and I'll use MIDI. I usually use Serum for all my basses, so I'll usually start a MIDI channel and kind of draw out my sub of what I'm imagining, or like if I can hum something in my head, I'll try to put that down in MIDI. Like you can do it so easily where you just draw in notes, and you just have like you could literally just start like this, and then move it towards different points that you like. yeah, so that's kind of how I started that. And I just used an 808 on Serum that I already had. I just messed with the effects a little bit to make it more of what I wanted. Yeah. So this is like the low end, or the 808 that I used for the song. Yeah. I usually don't do way too much. I find sounds that already have like an element of what I want in it, and then I'll use effects or different ways of processing it to make it my own or make it fit exactly what I want. Sometimes I'll make sounds from scratch, but usually I find it's easier to just find a sound that already has what you want and be able to change it into what you want. Yeah, so this is the Serum preset of it, and the way that I process this, and the way that I usually will process most of my subs, is I'll separate it into two channels, where I have the low end and I have the high end of it. So the low end is just this, and then this is the high end of it. And I usually separate it just so that I'm able to have control over the full sound, so the low end won't be muddy if I want to add a filter or make the high end somewhat crazy. Like this, I added an effect here. I just added a comb filter to it here, which I actually do a lot, as you guys are going to see. I like to use Serum effects a lot on my basses, especially comb filter. I use comb filter on a lot of my sounds to just make them more crazy. You guys are probably going to see that a lot through this project. But yeah, so I put a comb filter on the high end of it, and I just use an EQ here to separate, and yeah. Yeah, nothing too crazy here, and then just a compressor. And here I have the sub pitch, and I use this kind of here, the sub pitch, as a fill. So I like to pitch it. I just will automate the pitch and put it in the fill, so it kind of creates a different effect versus just having the sub just repeat the same way and be like da da da. It goes da. That was great. So the way that I will do this is I'll just copy the same note, and copy the same thing, so it's the exact same channel, but I'll just have the note here and I'll automate that. Yeah, so that little pitch bend is how that's happening. Yeah. And I like to do that in a separate channel, because sometimes if you do it on the same channel, the other notes get messed up. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but sometimes it will mess up all the other ones, so the pitch sounds different and everything. So I think doing it on a separate channel, it's easier to just control it. Okay, and now we have my bass channels, which is kind of, it looks a little bit crazy. I like to layer a lot in my songs. It's actually not super crazy if you dive into it, but so in bass house music, call and response is really important. As you guys will hear in pretty much, I feel like all bass house songs, there's call and response, and that's really important to keep in mind when you're trying to make a house song or a bass house song. Yes, Grayson agrees. Okay, so I'll show you guys what I mean by that if you guys don't already know about call and response. So So here I use this bass as my call. And then here we have a different sound that I use as my response. And this is just to create energy and make the drop more crazy. Okay, so apparently Samulix just did a call and response lesson, so you guys already know about that. But yeah, that's an effect that I like to use in all my songs. Just adds a lot more energy to kind of switch it up. Pattern is really important in bass house, and it's good to like have a pattern but change it up and then come back to it. I find that really sits with people. Yeah, so I'll dive deeper into the synths and what they are. So this first synth, I call it like a game synth. Yeah, so this is a preset on Serum that I have that I changed again to make my own, using distortion. Where'd it go? Okay, so using distortion, yeah. And the way that this is kind of set out in the same pattern as the sub that I made. So if you look at it, it's kind of the exact same pattern. But what I do with this is I change the notes slightly, like I move them over, so that they hit differently. And this I'll just do by kind of experimenting, like I'll move a note over slightly, and that way it makes it more, it's less like on the kick, on the kick, on the kick, and it adds a lot more movement to the song. Yeah, it kind of just glides better to not have it always hit on the same note. So, yeah. So it's all kind of the same notes, but some of the notes are just pushed forward a little bit. Yeah. And this is just how I processed it. Again, I usually use Serum. I usually do like most of my, oh my god, what am I doing? Okay, I usually do most of my processing in actually Serum for my basses, and then here what I did is I put an EQ on it. Yeah, and I had this going over, yeah, here I put an EQ on it, and that's just so it gets rid of the low end, just so it doesn't interfere with the low end from the sub here. Yeah, so on this channel you just hear the high ends, and I never really use the low ends from any of the synths on the drop. I like to have a separate channel just for the sub or the low ends of the bass. That way it doesn't get muddy and everything has their own space. So that's pretty much all I did here with this, and then I use Redo to add Redux? Redo? I don't know. I use more distortion pretty much to kind of make it sound more crazy. And then what I did here is I brightened up the high end of this just to give it some more flavor. Yeah, and then so that's the main layer of it that I have. And I decided to layer it with this, which is a sound that you will hear later in the second drop. But it's just a little bit of a deeper sound, so it's not all like da 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 da. You'll hear kind of like an underneath layer where it's like deeper. Yeah, and then the way that I got this sound this is again a sound that Thank you, Kit. Okay. I laid this out kind of weirdly to show in an instruction video, but here, I'll show you guys the 3 layers that I used for this sound. So together they sound a lot more full than how it would have been if it was just this repeating. It just adds a lot more depth to it. And this is a sound that's going to be coming back on the second drop, so I kind of wanted to tease it, and I layered it like lightly under the first drop. Yeah, so that is the first sound. This is the 3rd layer of it. This is just something I added for a bit of stereo width. I believe I panned these sounds. Now this is just a sound that I used to kind of add more flavor to it. Yeah. And then here, I'll show you guys the sound that I used. Yeah, I do a lot of layering on these projects. And the thing is, I don't always go in with like exactly what I want in mind. I'll kind of find a sound that I like and I'll build off of that. So once I find that the sound that fits next, or I know what it needs, I'll put it in there. Yeah, so this is the second sound that I used, which without any effects, this is what it sounds like. Which isn't like the most, there it is. It's not the most clean sound, like it would muddy up the whole mix if I kept it like that. So the way that I processed it, again, I got rid of the low ends of it so it doesn't interfere with the sub. And here, I use an LFO, which makes a really big impact on it. So what this LFO does on it pretty much is it gives it more of a groove, and it gets rid of all the harsh sounds that I don't want in it. And then again, I put it through a high pass filter, and then here I saturated like the high ends of it a little bit. I boosted the high end. Yeah, so that's like the layering that I'll explain like the layering that I do. So I'll do like, when I have a sound in my drops, like a synth, I'll kind of layer it into 3 different sections. Like I'll have the high end, the mids, and the sides. And sometimes I won't even use the same sound. You can just use a different sound or a different preset or anything, but using the same pattern. And I like doing that a lot because it just makes it a lot more crazy when you don't always have the same sounds. But I'll keep it very like lightly, so it's more of an effect and it's not just all these crazy sounds. But I put them in a way that they fit together, where I'll have like the high end of something and I'll use like the mid of some, like a different sound, or I'll have the low end of something else. Yeah. And I use LFO tool a lot on my sounds just because it adds a lot of groove and a lot of movement to a song. Like just showing you guys this. That's so different from this. Like, it sounds so much more clean having the LFO on there. Yeah, so what I did with that was mainly just cleaning out the sound so I could put it on there without making my mix crazy. And then what I have here is the mid layer of it, which is actually a different sound, but I cut out the low end and a bit of the high end of it, and pretty much just use like a certain bit of the sound. And it's a very like light, it's not something that you hear very much, but it just adds a little bit more, what is the word? It adds a little bit more body to the sound. And then again, I have this sound, but just repeat that over and over. And you hear a little bit, it's very quiet, but you hear it pan a little bit. Yeah, so a lot of layering. I love layering. That's something I like. It's not something you have to do. Like, you could just, not everyone does it, but I find that if you layer, it just makes it more crazy. That's just something I like to do in my songs, but not everyone layers. But I think it's really fun. You could take a sound from being like okay or kind of dull and make it something completely crazy. Yeah. Trying to see if there's anything else here.
Yeah, let's go. OG Sinner.
Okay, I'll show you guys. So this is what I did for the second drop. I decided to kind of change it up for the second drop. So as you see here, there's different synths that I used in the first drop than the second drop. And that's just because I could have like repeated it, but I wanted something more crazy. I don't know. I like, personally, when I play a song, I like to be able to jump from first drop or second drop. So I like to always have some kind of different element. So I'll show you guys this. Oh, and vocal processing I'll get to. I'll show you guys the basses and the drums, then I'll show you guys how I process vocals too. Okay, so again, it's that sound that I told you guys that I was layering because I was going to bring it back in. So it's kind of a little tease of this sound, but I kind of bring it in as a whole second drop. So I use the same sound again, but just processed it differently to have it louder, not so quiet, and I had like the...
Make your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer in every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
The high end of it, and I didn't just use it as a mid here. And again, I processed it kind of the same here. showing you guys the serum. So I processed it differently here. Yeah. So I again use like the high pass filter and use the compressor, and then again with the LFO tool. I use LFO tool on everything. That shit is amazing. And if you listen to the sound, it's a lot more crazy. Just with LFO tool alone, it's like completely different. Without any processing, it sounds pretty bland. But what I do again, this is kind of something I follow a lot, but I'll change to different sounds that I'm working with because every sound's different, so you'll filter it differently or process it differently or add something you wouldn't before. So again, I kind of did my usual that I would do, and here I just boosted the high end of it a little bit. And then same thing again. I'll go through like the frequencies and see what sounds better in my mix if I want to boost something. Yeah. And here I added a bit of distortion, and yeah, I like to saturate a lot and distort a lot. Especially if it's a sound in my high end that I'm using. And then kind of the same processing here, but I'll aim it just towards like the mid. Like here it's filtered, so you just hear the mid section of the sound. And this is the same sound that I used. This you can't even hear, so I don't know why that's there, but there. And this is just another layer that I added. This is a different sound that I found that I thought that fit. Yeah, so all together it sounds like the craziness that it is. But if you just listen like just the sound, it's a little bland. Yeah, so layering is definitely my friend. And another thing I like to do is on the first hit of every 4 bars, I put a sound kind of like, you could put a bass shot or something to kind of create more energy. So I put like a little wobble. Okay. And then I have a separate group just for my 808s and my subs here. And I just put a sub drop here because I wanted to have some kind of bass in the build, but I didn't want it to be too much, so that when the drop hit, it would be more of an impact.
Gonna ride till we die.
Yeah, and I did the same thing.
OG sinner, show me.
I just used a sub. I didn't really do anything on the processing, just put a compressor. And because the kick is like a crazy pattern already, it sounds good. Okay. So that is for my basses. I do a lot of layering and try to just clean out sounds and have a sound that does one thing. Like I'll have everything controlled. Yeah, but honestly, you don't have to layer. It's not something you have to do. I think it's just something that's fun to do, and that it puts a lot of power into a sound. So yeah, but you can mess around a lot with layering, and you have your highs, your mids, and your lows, so you could do so much with that. Yeah, that's why I like to put a lot of sounds together, like mix the high ends from one song with one sound with the mid of another sound. Okay. Yes, and Kashmir has amazing samples. His sub drops are so good. Alright, so I'll show you guys the drums for this song. Yeah. Pretty standard. Again, I don't do too much on my drums. Like, usually find sounds that are good and I'll clean them out or make them sound how I want.
Hey, on my watch.
Yeah, so what I did here with the drums, like, pretty standard. Yeah. So I usually just find drums that sound good, that I like. And I usually have like a little sample pack of my own that I make with sounds that I like to use a lot and drums that I find that fit what I want. Just so every time I start a new project, I don't have to spend a ton of time trying to find new drums and try to find what I think sounds good. I just have sounds that I already know that work for me and that I already like a lot, and I'll put them into like a little folder every time I use them. And then I'll have like a bunch of claps that I like that I can go through and put into a different song. Yeah, so I think that's really important, to have your own sounds and your own sound bank, so you don't waste a bunch of time going through and trying to find specific sounds. Okay, so this is the drums. Pretty standard clap here. I like to with my claps, I like to sometimes layer. Again, layering. I do like to layer a lot. With my claps, I like to layer a lot, so I'll have a different clap, and I'll put like a little delay on it, just to have a different kind of sound to fill the space. So like here, the way that I used it is I just put, I cut out the low ends of this and I put a little delay on it. So it's not just like the same clap over and over again. Yeah. And I also put a different clap on top just to layer in the intro. It's more like a snap, kind of. It's more wet, like it's more of a wet clap. Yeah.
Gonna ride till we die.
And here I just used
Ride till we die.
a different clap before the drop. Same with my hats. I actually do, the way that I do my song, like my projects, is I'll have one project that I'll do all the creative aspects of, so I'll put everything together, and then I'll bounce everything out to stems, and I'll kind of do the mix down there. So this is like more of the creative aspect of it, where I actually put the project together, just because my computer can't handle too many open projects. But yeah, so I usually don't do much in the creative process of like putting the hats. I'll find sounds and make different patterns with them. And one thing I like to do is for the first like 4 bars of the drop, I don't like to have any hats. That way when it comes in, it's a different sound and it brings more energy to it. yeah, but in bass house music, drums are really important. Just the way that you lay it out, to have a good drum pattern is really important. So I'll play around with my drums and find sounds that I like. Like I'll have a bunch of hats that I save, and I'll lay them out differently, or I'll layer them differently to kind of get a different effect. And a lot of it is just messing around and creating something that I wouldn't have normally just been able to find. Do I do that on all of my songs? It's different for every single song, but I usually do, like, I'll have kind of like a folder that I've made for myself, with all the drums, like all the sounds that I like or sounds that I'll make. Like sometimes I'll do little sessions where I'll sit down for a few hours and just mess around with sound design and just creating different sounds, and I'll put those in, the ones that I like I'll put into a folder, and I'll bring those out when I'm making a new song. And I do that just because I feel like that way you're not wasting a bunch of time trying to find all these sounds all the time. And then you could really just focus on the pattern. Now I've started to recently do a lot of drum patterns using MIDI, like using a drum rack on MIDI, but and I'll just put different notes in and get different sounds. But my process is I just like to play around with it a lot until there's something that I really like and that sits with me. So every song is different in terms of that. But yeah, what I would suggest to do is just play around and have fun with it. And you end up finding really cool sounds and really cool patterns. And the minute that you have something that you're like, oh my god, that'll inspire like a whole project. One time I was making a song and it was almost done, and then I made this really cool drum pattern. I was like, oh, okay, I'm about to, and I really like the drum pattern of it, so I just saved it, and that's actually how I ended up making Heist. So that's the next song that I'm going to show you guys. Yeah, and then just a snare build.
Die. Gonna ride till we die.
Yeah, again here, just a lot of like layering of my percussions and finding sounds that I like. This, I think, was actually like a a duck that I sampled, and I put a bunch of reverb on, and that's how I got this sound. I like to use it a lot in my songs. I don't know why. I love sampling duck sounds. It's such an interesting sound. But yeah. Yeah, again, just a lot of layering and kind of fitting in sounds and bringing them back. Like, I don't, like, again, like I said, pattern is really important. So I'll use something in one section and then I'll kind of bring it back again. And yeah. And here we got a couple fills. Just like a classic drum fill. And here I have a snake, the sound of a snake rattling that I used as a little shaker or build thing. I like to use a lot of animal sounds in my fills. Even if they don't sound like it sometimes, I'll just kind of change it and process it to sound like one. So here you'll hear this snake. Yeah, and another thing I'm going to tell you guys about drums before moving on to the next section is fills are really important in bass house music. I think having original fills goes a long way, and fills can be a lot of things, like just drums or like a crazy sound, or like a lion roaring, like anything, like a vocal fill, anything. So I like to mess around with that a lot. Like I'll lay out the song and I'll make I'll have the drums and the bass and everything set up, and then I'll go in and like I'll make little reminders. Like I'll put like a locator there and write that I need to work on the fill, and then I'll go in there and like maybe like I'll mute the kick, like what I've done here. I'll get rid of the kick, I'll get rid of the sub there, and I'll change that section. So like maybe 2 bars or 4 bars I'll have some different sounds, or have some kind of drum fill going, and then have some animal sounds, or not animal sounds. It's not always animal sounds. Sometimes there'll be animal sounds, but just some kind of crazy sound. I like to find sounds that are interesting and weird to me. And I'll kind of layer those to make a fill out of it.
OG sinner.
Yeah, so
Hate on my watch. Hate on my oh.
Here I used a lion.
Hate on my oh.
But what I'll do is usually delete the kick, maybe even delete the clap, or delete like everything in that section, and then I'll just have different sounds, and that kind of is like a little switch up. I think that it adds a lot of energy in songs, and that's something you can mess around with and have a lot of fun with. Okay. So next, I just have this little auxiliary group, and this is just like for different sounds. I like to layer like atmosphere sounds, for example, vinyl crackle. I put this in every song. It's just a very like subtle sound that kind of fills a space, and gives the song like a bit of atmosphere. Like listening to a song, you would never like think about that or think that that's there, but I think I really like that sound personally, like a little bit of a vinyl crackle. So I like to put it in my breaks, or anywhere that I feel like the space could be filled a little bit. And it's such a slight sound, but it just adds a little bit of atmosphere. Let's see. Yeah, so these are just vinyl atmosphere. Here I found a sound, like the sound of a camera. So naturally, being me, I like to put weird sounds in there, so I put a camera in there. You don't really hear it. It's like a very slight thing. I feel like if you're really listening to it, you would, but again, it just adds a little bit of a different sound to it, like a different flavor. Like you can hear the clicking a little bit, but it's not, you would never think like, okay, that's a camera. So I just like to mask it in there. And then these are just different pieces or hits that I use to fill out spaces and make into fills. Like this is the lion. Okay, and then here is how this string that I have in my build up, and the way that I'll show you guys what it is. I like doing this a lot in songs just because I don't know, I like putting strings in songs, but the way that I did this is I just found strings, like a sample, and I have one where I just keep it as is, and then I'll take the sample again in a different channel and I'll pitch bend it. I think I already, okay, I saved this somewhere else, but I'll show you guys how to do it. Yeah. So the way that I'll do this is I'll have one channel just like having the sample stay the way it is, and then I'll duplicate the channel and repeat it and just kind of bring up the pitch. And this is I've already done that to this because it's a sound that I've saved, but I'll show you guys how to do it just so you're able to do it in your songs. I'm just gonna do it extremely so you can hear it, but I would usually have it kind of subtle so you don't notice too much of a change. But yeah, just kind of pitch it up so you have one that's staying the same and then one channel that's pitching up, and that way you get kind of like the building effect of it. And I like it because it sounds just like a little bit creepy, or I don't know, intense.
Gonna ride till we die.
Okay, yeah, that is how I do that. I did that. I definitely overdid that because that's already been processed, but you guys get a gist of it. Yeah, and then I have just my effects. I'm not going to go into that because it's just pretty much down sweeps, risers, and up sweeps, and that's just to
Gonna ride till we die.
take, I don't know, keep the song flowing. Okay, so I'll show you guys the vocals, which is the last group of the song.
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die.
And I actually had to process the vocals in this in a different project because my computer could not handle so many channels. But I'll show you guys how I do it. So the way I'll typically start out processing my songs, I have this, which is just the unprocessed version of it. Hello, Brian, how are you? This is just the unprocessed version that I have here.
OG, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got.
So it's pretty dull, pretty flat. And the way that I'll do it, again, a lot of layering. I usually have like one channel that I keep for like the main vocal, and then one channel I'll have that like the vocal is mono, one channel that's got more reverb, one that has more delay. But the way that I usually will start all of them out is with a de-esser and a compressor. And I really like CLA a lot for processing vocals. I've tried a lot of different techniques, and this has just been the easiest for me because I'll use like 8 different plugins and try to always get the sound that I wanted. But CLA vocals is really dope for that. There's this preset that I use called Face to Face Dry. Usually whenever I put that on anything, it already is like starting to sound the way that I want it.
OG, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got.
Yeah. And you know, processing vocals is a very like, it's a personal preference of how you want your vocals or the voice to sound. But for me, that's like exactly what I like. So I'll usually start off all my vocals like that. It is pretty dry.
OG, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got.
There's different settings on there too, and there's different ways that you can process it. You can add reverb, but I like to just have one channel that's dry, and then I'll have that as like the loudest channel, and then I'll have a bunch of layers on it, and like different layers that I'll do is I'll do like delay on it.
OG, tell me what you got.
And I'll just have that quieter.
OG, tell me what you got. Tell me. OG.
Yeah. And then I like Eco Boy a lot for processing vocals too.
OG, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what.
A lot of like really cool things, really cool effects that you can get using Eco Boy or Echo Boy to just layer on top of other vocals. And then I'll have a channel that's like mono.
OG, tell me what you got.
And I'll usually just have that. So, yeah.
OG, tell me what.
And then I'll have another channel with the vocals pitched differently. And I'll have that kind of as the quietest channel, depending on what I want. But I'll
OG,
Manipulator is a really cool one for that. Or you could just straight up go and pitch it yourself.
OG, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you got.
And I mess around with the formants to get it sounding the way that I want.
OG, tell me what. OG, tell me what you got.
And I'll just have that kind of like as a layer underneath the other thing. Again, it really just depends what you want with your vocals, but I like having like a kind of deeper layer. In this song, I use my own voice. So my voice is fairly high. I guess in this song it sounds a little bit lower because of the way that I processed it. I pretty much just pitched it down by 1 just to sound a little bit deeper. Yeah, and Manipulator is a really cool one too for processing, because you could just go through it and play with the effects and play with different sounds, and you might end up with something that you wouldn't have normally like thought of. Yeah, so I'll show you guys how I have it set out here. So I have the dry vocals.
OG Sinner.
And this has already been processed in a different project, but to save time, I'm not going to go into every single project for you guys.
OG Sinner, show me what you got. Brand on the block with the hate on my watch.
So again, the way that I did this is with CLA vocals. I used a de-esser and I compressed it.
OG Sinner, show me what you got. Brand on the block with the hate on my watch.
And then this one, I actually took 2 channels. I panned one left, and then I panned one all the way right, and then I saved it into 1, so you hear the stereo.
OG Sinner, show me what you got. Brand on the block with the hate on my watch.
And then this one, I have like a pitched vocal that I did here.
OG Sinner, show me what you got. Brand on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die.
Just because it sounds like adds a different sound to it. Yeah, and then here I have a vocal shout. I'll show you guys how I did this one. Okay, this is definitely doing nothing, so I'm gonna delete that. Okay, so the way that I did this, again, CLA vocals. I love CLA vocals. It sounds it's just my favorite thing that I've found for vocals, and it just makes it so much quicker to work with. So on this one, I just have a bit of a delay, and I've turned down the dry wet. And then I have a compressor.
Brand on the OGs, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got.
Oh, and what do I use to record my vocals? So right now I'm using this. I don't know exactly what mic it is. Yeah, I don't know exactly what mic it is, but it's a good one. It's in the studio that I'm using. I will get the name of that for you guys and then put it in the comments after. And it's just got a Kayutika filter on it, which is this ball. I think the mic itself is like around 1,000. It's a really good mic. It makes everything sound light and airy, so I find that I don't have to process as much, whereas before I had a not as good mic. I didn't have a filter, so I would have to process it way more, but now it's like it already sounds so good. So it makes it a hell of a lot easier to process, a lot faster. So this is what I've recorded it on. And the room doesn't really have treatment. There's like, you could hear everything kind of back there, but I find that it definitely does a job. It's a really good mic, and the filter itself together is a great combo. I'll make sure to put that in the comments for you guys later if you want to check out the mic as well.
Tell me what you got.
And then here I just have another delay with the vocal, but I just process it differently. And then same thing here, and then just different channels for layering. Like I have one with reverb on it. And I just did this one with Ableton stock reverb.
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch. Gonna ride till we die. OG sinner, show me what you got. Ride till we die. Gonna ride till we die.
And this one, I'm pretty sure I just put a comb filter from Serum.
OG sinner.
Like,
OG sinner, show me what you got. Riding on the block with the hate on my watch.
kind of just to make it sound more distorted or more robotic, I would say. Just as a layer. I like to just have fun with the layers and try processing it and try doing different things on it, try distorting a couple layers. Like I'll pan one vocal left and then I'll have it, I'll have different effects on it. Like I'll have maybe delay on it, or maybe I'll have a comb filter on it. And then I'll have another channel that's panned right, and then I'll have it processed a little bit differently. But I won't have it super loud where you won't be able to, where it just sounds like it's competing with each other. I'll just have like the main vocal, the dry vocal, the loudest part like this.
OG sinner, show me what you got.
And then everything else I kind of layer around that, just to make sure it's not really taking away from the main vocal. Yeah, so I think you can do a lot with vocals, but again, it just is personal preference of what you want. So I'll have like a dry channel and then I'll put everything around it, but make sure there isn't anything competing with each other or making it hard to understand the vocal. And if you think that if that mic is expensive, by the way, don't worry. There's a lot of really good mics on the market. I'm lucky to be able to use this one, but there's a lot of really good ones. If you Google, you'll easily be able to find one. Yeah, and then let's see, it's a lot of just processing of vocals. A lot of times I use delay, but I'll have like a certain word and I'll delay it differently, or I'll add more reverb, or I'll pan it to another side, and then that way I get different results with it. So this is the way I did this. So I distorted it a little bit. Again, delay, CLA vocals. Nothing too crazy, but I just kind of go by ear to fill the spaces that I want and kind of have a bunch of body in my vocals.
OG sinner.
OG
sinner.
Yeah. And then what I did here with the vocal builder. This is, I just love making vocal builders. It's so much fun. But the way that I made this is I just chopped up the word die, and then I kept repeating it, and I made it match up with the snare. So once the snare is getting faster, the vocal gets faster as well. Yeah, definitely. I'm reading the comments right now. Definitely a lot of layering. My projects are super layered, and I've just been doing that for a long time. I just like to fill the spaces, but you don't have to go crazy with your layering. Like, you definitely don't. You can find a sound and just use it as is, but I like to really fill the spaces and play with sounds to make sure I get something that I want, and that's something that is different, something that's kind of crazy. Yeah, so the way that I made this, I chopped up the word die, and I repeated it again, and it matches up with the snare. So in the song, when the snare is like, the vocals are also getting faster.
Gonna ride till we die.
Okay, and the way that I processed this, I just cut off the word die from the vocal that I already processed, so I didn't have to do all that again. And I use Endless Smile a lot on my builds, and I'll usually just automate the intensity. So I'll show you guys right here. Oof. So I'll automate the intensity, so as the build is getting bigger and the song is getting crazier, the the sound is getting bigger and crazier too. And the reason I like Endless Smile is it kind of does everything for you. Like, it's kind of got like, it's kind of what reverb would do, like reverb and all these different things that you could add to it, but it just does it. This is it, like, without any, very different than, and it's got different sounds, so I won't always use like the craziest one, but for me this is like a harder song, so I went with like a harder version of it. But you could kind of do the same thing like with reverb and delay and having an auto filter, yeah. But I find that Endless Smile is just super easy to automate. Yeah, I'll put it back here. Die. And then nothing super crazy on it. I just put reverb on it, so by the time it got to right before the drop, that it would kind of fade out the sound. Yeah, and then here I just cut it off completely. I make sure to turn off Endless Smile so it doesn't, the sound doesn't bleed out, because if you don't, it just kind of I'm not sure what I have on here, but usually if you have it on, the sound will kind of bleed out, or like the reverb will continue. So I like to just turn off all my devices right before the drop. That way it's just, you hear the vocal and then you hear the drop, and I find that that's more impactful than having a bunch of sounds just bleeding out, or having a bunch of reverb tails going into the drop. So right before the drop it's all clean, and then it goes into the drop.
Gonna ride till we die.
You notice it's like super crazy, these like last two bars, and then you just hear the sub drop and the vocal, and then it's into the drop.
Gonna ride till we die.
Okay, and nothing else really in the vocals. Again, just a lot of layering, like
OGs.
this I just pitched it a little bit differently. Again, delay. And this was a sample that I found, and I kind of use that as like a little, on every fill you could hear
Hey, on my OGs, tell me what you got.
And then here I have this laugh, which is a laugh, my own laugh that I save in like my sample pack that I have for myself, and then I like to put it like in weird places in songs. Yeah, so that is pretty much how I made this. I hope I gave a good explanation of it, because there's a lot of layers, but again, like, I just like to have fun with it. So when I open up a project, I'll start an 8-bar loop and kind of just go crazy on the sounds and find what I want and find what I'm picturing in my head, what I'm hearing in my head, and I'll put it together and play with it until I get what I want. Like, sometimes I'll go into a project and I know exactly what I want, but I find it way more fun to just go in, play with it, and try new things, like try new tools that you've never used, or like if you have no idea what the hell, like, for example, delay does, like, open up delay and put delay on it and mess around with it until you find something. Like, if you have a plugin that you've never used before, put it on there and see what it does. And a lot of times you'll end up finding a sound that might even inspire a song for you. So yeah, that is OG Sins. I hope
Make
that
your music stand out, get more views, and way more engagement. Bring your music to life. Get Music Visualizer. In every format, even for social media. Get started today. The link is in the description.
I hope that that was informative. Definitely a lot of layering on this. Okay, I'm gonna go into Heist now. So with this song Heist, I'll just show you guys up to the first drop because I kind of end up doing the same thing on the second drop. But with this song Heist, it went through a lot of changes. It started off as something completely different. I was making a song and I made this. That song was like almost at the end of its path. Like I was almost done that song, and then I made this really sick drum loop, or found this really cool technique, and I was like, okay, I have to make this a song now. And I went into a new project, and I ended up making that in like 4 hours. But it's definitely gone through a lot. Like I've changed it so many times. It has like 4 different names, but this is one that I made by just using a tool that I wouldn't normally use. And the minute I use it, I was like, holy shit! Like I really like that. I want to make this. I want to make this a song. Okay, so this again is layered out in the same way, so I'm not going to go back into like how I made everything, but I'll show you guys what it sounds like.
Hey, Lil Jix with the hits. Got a bounty on my head. Skeletons in bed. Got a bounty on my head. Hey, most wanted. Most wanted. Most wanted. Got a bounty on my head. Now they wanna see me dead.
Alright, so that is Heist. And again, this is like the creative project of it. I always will, once I have the sounds that I want and I have everything that I want, I'll bounce it into a new project just so I don't spend like another couple days just trying to change every sound. I'll bounce everything to stems and I'll do the mix sound of it properly. So this is the creative aspect of it, and anything you guys would really need to know. In my mix phases, I'll just kind of clean up all the sounds. Maybe I'll add reverb or, yeah, a lot of like EQing, reverb, cleaning shit up, making it sound good. But this is the creative aspect of it. Again, I have a drum, I have a kick that I don't really do anything with because it's from my sample pack that I already have. And I'm going to show you guys the bass for this one because that's kind of what inspired this project. The sub here is just a sample. So this one I did a little bit differently. So I drew it out on MIDI, but using sampler I got just so when I answering Alex's question, so when I bounce out everything into a new project, I'll usually bounce out every single channel, and that's why I stay so organized with it. Like, I'll label it so I can go into it, and when I do all the mix down of it, I can know where everything goes. So I'll bounce out every single track, but then it won't have all of these plugins, and it won't have, like, it won't eat up all my CPU, so my project won't shut down every 2 minutes. This one, before I found that my project would get shut down like every time I would try to go in it, so eventually I got fed up with it and I started doing my mix down separately. Yeah, and it also does, good point, it does actually save a lot of time from like going in and tweaking stuff, because if you like separate it where you're like, okay, I've done all the creative work of it, this is what I want it to sound like, now I'm just going to clean it up and that's the song, that way you don't spend a bunch of time tweaking it and then having it never be done. I know that a lot of producers struggle with this, but that's kind of my way of not doing that. Is like, once I have everything I want, and I usually do the creative aspect the fastest, like I'll spend like 5 hours maybe, or I'll try to do everything in one session when I'm like really feeling it, and then I'll start bouncing everything out, and then the mix phase kind of takes more time, because I'll spend a couple days like listening to it and making sure it's what I want. Sometimes like I'll come back a week later and be like, okay, I don't like this aspect as much now, so I'll make it better. Yeah, but it definitely saves me from wasting time in my project, because like if you see a project like this, like you just want to go in and like change so much shit, because you can always make a song better or like change more about it, but there has to be a point where you're like, okay, I really like this and this is what the song is going to be. So yeah, with the sub, I just again drew out a fairly simple like low end. And as I showed you guys before, I separate the high and the low, and I actually ended up not using the high end of this, because it would have been very different to have like kind of that whistly sound. Yeah, so I got rid of the high end of this, so I just kept the low end, and I used an arpeggiator here on here. I use an arpeggiator here. It kind of does the same thing as an LFO. Like, it sounds, I use it for the same purpose of an LFO, because it adds more groove to it. Like, if you listen to it without the arpeggiator on it, it's just a bass note. But with the arpeggiator, you can kind of add a groove to it. And you can change that, so I'll automate like my rates. So I'll like automate my rate. It looks a little bit crazy here, but yeah, I'll automate it to kind of have like, it'll hit differently, or it'll go faster. Okay, and then here I have my drums up next, and I kind of do the same. I use the same techniques. Like, I'll find sounds that I really fuck with, and here I sampled like a little breath, and you can kind of hear this over the entire sound. Breaths are a sound that I really like to work with. I don't know why. Actually, no. Billie Eilish's song, "Bad Guy," or one of her songs, there's a breath, and I remember hearing that, and I was like, I really wanna try putting a breath in my songs, and ever since then I've been doing it, because it's always like everyone has a different like breath sound. So if I have a artist that's in the studio recording, I'll make sure to like whenever they're about to say a vocal and you could hear like the breath, I'll like take that and I'll use that as a sweep. Like I'll cut it up, I'll reverse it and use that as a sweep, and that's just like a kind of like a natural sound. It's not a sound that's made on a computer. So that's kind of why I use it. Here I just use it to give like a bit of flavor to my percussion and my drums. And again, I use the same techniques. I layered a bunch. This one it doesn't have delay, but this one's panned a little bit. And then yeah, and then again I made some fills, and sometimes I'll just find sounds that I like and I'll chop them up to make them a fill. Like if I find a cool drum hit, I'll save that and later on I'll use it. But that's kind of how I made this fill. This is like a reverse kick. And I like toms a lot. Toms are really dope for fills. Okay. I realize that I'm talking so much about these projects, but it is 8:20 right now. Let me see what else is important to show you guys. My vocals I processed again the same way, a bunch of layering. That is definitely the pattern of today's lesson, is do a lot of layering. Again, I have my laugh, but I use it differently here, where I use it as a little bit of a fill. Yeah, and then here we got the basses. So I'll show you guys the basses because I think that's the cool thing about this project. Show you guys, where is it? This one, the kind of bubbly bass. It's a really interesting sound. This is what kind of drove this entire song, is because I had this saved up somewhere because I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I made it when I was just messing around with sounds, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this in a project sometime, and I just brought it back. So this is actually just a chord sound. Like this is the sound that it is. It's a sound that you hear kind of in the intro and the breakdown, is this chord. But I processed it and made it this crazy thing. And the way that I did that, LFO tool definitely was a big part of that. See. Yeah, so I just automated LFO tool to create different patterns, and I went through their presets. I'm not going to change it right now so it doesn't change, but I went through their presets and I automated it in a way that would create this. It's kind of like this fluttering effect. It's just like automating really fast. So it's like, so it takes the sound from being, again, this was like me messing around with it a lot and me like literally going through every single preset and then changing all of the aspects of it, and then I was like, holy shit, this is like exactly what I want to make right now. And then again I processed it by separating the high end and the low end, and that I don't think, yeah. And then again I did a lot of layering, so that's like the high of it. This is the mid layer where it's a little bit more stereo and distorted, and you can do that by panning and adding distortion. And and then this is the low end of it, and it has some reverb on it. So all together it makes this crazy ass. But the main sound is just the high end of it. I just like to add the other layers for flavor. Yeah, most of my sounds I honestly do that with. Like, I use LFO Tool a lot, Serum Effects. I really like the comb filter on there. You can get some really crazy ass sounds by just messing with that. Like, even if you put a vocal on there, you could get a really cool sound just using the comb filter. And I'll just show you guys that again, where you could find that. You could just pull up Serum Effects or open it on Serum and Effects. So you go on Filter, and where is it? There it is. Okay, comb, and just mess around with this and you can get such a cool sound from it. Okay, we're running low on time. I talked a lot about the other projects, but again, with this project you can see I did all of the same techniques, and that's just something that has worked for me and something that I figured out by like making a lot of songs, is I've kind of put together a tool belt for myself of what I like to use. Like if I ever process something in a cool way, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna use that again in the future, I'll save it in a little bank for myself so I could always come back to it and I don't have to always try to figure out how I made that again. Or if I make a cool preset, like I'll save it up in a little folder so that I could always go back to it, and it saves so much time. That's definitely something I would recommend. And yeah, do you guys have any questions for me about anything? I was trying to answer as I went along in this. My projects are a little bit crazy just because I layer so much. Yeah, I'll wait like a few minutes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them right now. And yeah, guys, just have fun with your projects, mess around and see what you get from it. Like I find that a lot of people go into the studio and stress out because they can't like get something to sound a certain way, especially when you're starting out. I know it's hard to get like that idea that you have in your head like into the DAW, but messing around with it is like the best form of learning and getting better at this stuff, and just doing it and finding things that work for you. But if you find something that works for you, like save that shit right away. Like save that, save the way you processed it. You can literally save like, see, this is something I've saved. Like I have a name on it that I've already put on it, and that's something I'll just go back to, and I'll just keep reapplying it, and that's just something that works for me. That's something that I know how it works. Who gave me my first break? I signed a song to Bijou's label, D&D Records, like last year, and that was kind of one of the bigger labels that I got on. So that was a really big moment for me, because once that song got signed, it gave me a lot more freedom, and I kind of just knew that I was doing things right, because I don't really follow like the standard way of doing things. Like I kind of just go based off of what I've learned and what I've taught myself, and I always just try new things until I get what I want. So I find that once that song got signed, I was like, okay, well, it's working, that like I'm doing this, like I don't have to try to follow like a specific method. Yes, Bijou is definitely dope, and his label is really dope too. What inspired me to do music? Man, I've always loved music, like always loved music. I just didn't think that like I could be a musician. I didn't, like, I thought that you had to be born a musician, which is really weird to say, but I've always loved music. And I guess the minute that once I found electronic music and then found out that I could like make it, is when I got into it. And I started DJing like 5 years ago, so that's when I like fell in love with music, like really, and I fell in love with house music, and that's when I was DJing. And then 3 years ago I started to make my own music. So I was like, why am I just DJing? Why am I not making songs? Like, I want to make songs that I can play out, and I want to share these experiences. So I started doing it. And yeah, it's been amazing ever since. Now I'm able to do it every single day, and I love it so much. Like, it just makes me so happy, like sitting on fucking Ableton. Like, I know a bunch of people like don't like to sit at a desk for so long and like work on something, but it makes me so happy to just be able to sit and create and make different sounds and find different things that work for me. Like, it's just so exciting to me to make a song. And another question, how to get a song signed to a label. This depends for everyone. Like, obviously, labels have demo emails. A tip is don't spam them. Don't spam their emails, because they will read it when they get to it. Just make sure that you find like the right email to send to, and be nice and be respectful. Like, if you feel like you have a song that's ready for a label to see, like, send it to them. Take the risk and take the chance. Like, sometimes if they don't like it, that doesn't mean the song is bad, or it doesn't mean that the song is not like good enough to put on a label. It just means that it doesn't fit them. Like, when I started, I would send out so many demos, and it just wouldn't be the right fit for the label. And that didn't mean anything about the song. I would get the song signed on a different label. But I think it's good to just keep trying. Like, be nice and be respectful. Like, if you send a song to a label, and they take like a month to to listen to it, don't just start sending your song to other labels. Wait for it, because sometimes the label might not be signing like songs at that time. Yeah, but my biggest tip for that, to sign music, is keep trying and like start small. It's good to build up experience. Like, your first release doesn't have to be on the biggest label out there or the craziest label out there. It's good to like try to work within your community. Like, if you know someone that has a label, like a smaller label that they're building, and you're also an artist that's trying to build, and trying to get more releases, it's good to start small. Like, that's something that I did. I started with a local label, and once I had more experience, I would build my way up, and I think that that's really helpful. But it is also good to take your shot. It never hurts to just send the song to the big label anyway, because they might say yes. But if they do say no, don't let that be something that deters you and stops you from making music, because sometimes it's just not what they're looking for, and that's not a bad thing. That means that hey, they at least listen to your music. So, next time you hit them up, maybe you'll be the right one. Just don't spam them. Don't do that. Yeah, guys, any more questions? Yeah, so I feel like looks like that is all for today. My biggest advice for you guys is to have fun with it. Try new things. Shoot your shot. Go for the big labels. Just do it. Just have fun with it, and keep working at it, because it's not a skill that you can just have. You have to develop it and work on it. So, like, keep trying to send demo emails. Keep working on your production, and keep doing it. Like, you can't make a good song until you've made like so many bad songs, so just keep trying, and you will get there 100%. Just don't give up, and do your thing. Have fun. But yeah, that is all for you guys today. I hope that this was helpful and that you learned something from it. And if you thought that this looked crazy or difficult to you, don't worry about that. This is just skills and things that I've learned along the way, and you will have your own techniques and things that you'll develop too. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. Yeah. Have a good night, guys.